Jonathan Cooke is a voice actor living in LA. He can be heard in productions such as Black Wake, Serial Taxi, Quest for Infamy, and many others. He is also now producing audio dramas for Eternal Future Productions. Jonathan, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. It's an honor. I love this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I wanted to start off just by asking where your interest in voice acting began. Take us back to the beginning.
Back to the beginning. Well, that goes way back to being a kid. I grew up on, Looney Tunes and kind of being, enthralled by finding out that, all those characters were voiced by one guy, Mel Blanc, and just kind of being fascinated by that. I didn't really consider that like voice acting, like that's what I want to do, but I was always fascinated by that. And then it wasn't until I was in my 20s that I kind of was just surfing the web and stumbled across a site that was posting auditions for just little projects, people putting together audio dramas and independent video games and animations and things, and posting auditions for voice acting. And I thought, wow, this is kind of fun. I like to do silly voices. I like to act and do that kind of thing. And so I bought a cheap microphone and just kind of jumped into it, so
That's great. Well, and for the listeners and or viewers, however that may be, Jonathan and I were talking prior to the show and talking about how welcoming, say, for example, particularly the audio drama community
Mhm.
is. Has that been your experience as well?
Yeah, absolutely. The audio drama and voice acting in general, ever since I started doing this, it's always been a very helpful community.
Hmm.
People looking to, help each other out and even just come together and make a project because, this is what they love to do. And it's especially true, I found, in the audio drama realm, because that's something fairly recent for me. It's only been the last few
Hmm.
years that I've, started getting into this and producing those things. So it's been something I found to be very true and kind of amazing, and I love it because we've even producing our show reached out to people and just said, hey, we're doing this. Would you like to help us out? And every single time it's been, yeah, I would love to. And so it's a really, really cool, nice, friendly, helpful community. I love it.
Yeah, that has exactly been my experience as well. And to what do you attribute that? Is it just that people are working on their passion? Is there something innate that makes audio drama a warm, welcoming community, or what do you think explains this?
I think passion is a great deal of it, and
Yeah.
because I think it's such a a small kind of a niche interest that
Hmm.
people who are in this really embrace each other. It's so neat to find people who are into the same thing you are in general, but when it's something that specific as audio drama, which is not a very widely popular thing, I
Hmm.
think it's even more exciting for people, and they just love to kind of embrace you with that and be like, you're one of us, and
Yeah.
so how can I help you?
You
Um,
found your tribe.
Exactly. Yeah, I found my people.
Right.
So I think that's a big part of it. And like you said, passion is a huge part of that. People just love putting these things together. They love the acting, they love the writing and producing and sound design of it, and
Yeah.
and look for any opportunity to help with that. So.
Right. And yeah, you hit on something that I was talking to Darby Kern
Mhm.
in a Facebook exchange, and I mentioned something about I think I may have found my people, and he's like, I hope that I sincerely hope that's true. He said, and I feel yeah, I absolutely hear where you're coming from. You find that give and take, the shared common interest again in something that is a lot more narrow than, say, movies or
Right.
books or even audiobooks, for example. You start drilling down, and the farther you go, the more passionate people are, I
That's true.
think. And it's so great to find something that people are passionate about, but they're also willing to share it in a way that may cost them something, whether that be time or investment in some other ways. It's really unique, and I really do love it.
Yeah.
But in voice acting, what would be a dream role for you? For example, something that you once played, you could sit back, say, "Hey, I've arrived."
That's
Other than your roles in Titanic Waif, of course.
oh, of course. Look.
Putting that
Well,
aside.
that's it. I've already made it. I'm done. I can retire a happy man. That's a very good question. That's a tough one. Man, it's I mean, I love doing roles where I get to do something kind of, really silly and kind of a funny voice that's not my own.
Yeah.
A lot of the acting these days, you notice in animation and stuff, is all based in reality. Like all the cartoon characters and stuff have real voices nowadays and stuff. Where back in Looney Tunes, it was really silly, outrageous voices, and those are the
Right.
things I love doing. And you don't get the opportunity to do those as much anymore.
Yeah.
So if I could, land a role where I got to just be really silly and off the cuff and something really outside of myself, I think that would be a lot of fun. Doing
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. And you're right about the modern move toward more realistic voices and cartoons of all things. Hey,
Right.
I'm escaping from reality here, people. I
Yeah.
don't, stop trying.
Yeah,
You
yeah, and I
know?
didn't really notice it until I had kids of my own, and I was watching cartoons with them, and I was like, "Well, this is not as fun as I remember cartoons being." I mean, there's humor in them, and the animation aspect of it, but
Sure.
the characters themselves just aren't as zany and goofy and wacky and all those Looney Tunes things.
Yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that, but you're absolutely right. I've got twin boys, are 6 years old, going on 7, and
Oh
as I
wow.
think about it, just sitting here now, you're absolutely right about that. Talked about the Titanic Waif. Now you played, I think, 3 different characters, right? It was
I believe so. Yeah,
Billet, the
he
hotel
was
clerk, and bank teller.
right. Yeah, yeah. So it was Billy was kind of the main one, and then the
Yeah.
2 of the minor roles. Yeah.
But first of all, you did a phenomenal job. So thank you
Well,
so much
thank you very
for
much.
doing that. Now, how do you prepare to play a character, especially when you play more than one? And we know you do that in the drama that you're producing now, which we'll get to in a minute.
Mhm.
But how do you prepare yourself to do that, to get into 2 different mindsets at once, especially if you're recording them in the same session?
Right, and I do that a lot with Pirateers. That's kind of how we record both characters I play.
Hmm.
Um, and it's interesting. I don't do a whole lot of preparing for it.
Hmm.
Um, I did in like with the Titanic Waif. He sent me the script, and I got to look at the characters and kind of say, okay, how am I going to sound for this one, and how am I going to sound for this one. And we discussed that even in the session, because a lot of it was kind of how do you see this character. Um, so you kind of have to jump into that at that point, and then really just kind of put yourself in the scene, and then just let the voice, kind of hope that you stick with it.
Right.
You don't drift into another character or another accent or something else. But yeah, I don't know. I'm probably one of those weird actors that don't like mentally prepare for a role. I like to just kind of jump in with it.
Well, sometimes I think that work. I mean, there are times I think you can over prepare,
Mhm.
and you get in there, and you've especially if you've rehearsed it a lot, and you get in there and you're like, it's got to be this way.
Right. Yeah.
And then, as you know, first of all, what a great job Darby Kern did directing it. Um,
Absolutely.
and he's not that kind of director. Like he does a take, a couple takes, and then he has one where he just wants the actors to go through it on their own and do it how they had it. And by that time, we've probably already thrown out whatever plans the actor had in the first place. I mean, I saw this happen with some of the other actors too. And because Darby as a director wants to drill down to get that essence.
Right.
And if you were to go in there locked into something you thought you were going to do, that might restrict the performance. So,
It definitely
yeah.
does. Yeah, absolutely. You kind of have to be open to trying, something different and something new that you hadn't really thought of. And I think
Hmm.
you're right. You can't over prepare where you get into your head so much that, you lose the opportunity to really find, how that character might actually react, because it's going to be this delivery in this way and this voice. And um,
Yeah, and it's hard to make that emotional connection with the listener through the character,
mhm,
because listeners are they're especially audio drama listeners, because they're very tuned in. They know what they like, they know what's good and what isn't usually. And they're pretty smart. They can tell if the actor's not plugged in,
right,
if they're not making that emotional connection. They may not know exactly what's wrong with it, but they'll feel it, or in this case, won't feel it, and that makes a
right.
difference to the entire program. And yeah, if you're too robotic about it, you're not going to make that. You're going to have a
Yeah.
tougher time doing
Yeah, and I
that.
think you're absolutely right, especially with the listeners being kind of in tune to it because they're using their imagination to picture what this character,
Yes.
is expressing. Whereas, in a movie, you can see the actor emoting, you can see what's on their face and what they're going through. So,
Mhm.
but in audio drama, you're reliant solely on the voice, and so you have to be able to, get that across what you're feeling. And like you said, the listeners are very smart. They're picturing that. So if the voice is
Yeah.
off at all, I think it kind of jars them out of the scene.
Right. Yes, absolutely. Now, tell me about Eternal Future Productions, how that got started, how that came about.
Right. Well, I'm a partner with Alicia Hansen,
Hmm.
and she's the kind of the main thrust behind Eternal Future Productions. We um, met through an online audition. She was working on an audio drama, putting together something that she had co-written with a friend of hers, and had reached out to me to voice act. And so that's how I got involved with her, producing audio dramas through that, just voice acting. And then we found out that just through conversation that we were both Christians, and both looking for work that had a little bit more purpose and meaning and significance to it than just kind of something that was entertaining.
Hmm.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's all the voice acting I was doing was for video games and animations and things like that. And it just there was a little bit of a void there. I guess it didn't feel like
Sure.
I was using my gifts for what they were for, or what I was giving them for. And we both felt that way, and just realized it's kind of hard to find really good Christian wholesome work out there. So why don't we start making it and kind of
Yeah.
putting it out there on ourselves, and then we can create that opportunity. Little did we know there was a whole realm of family friendly audio dramas and Christian productions like in the works. And other than like Adventures in Odyssey, that's been around forever. But
Sure.
yeah, and I was brand new to audio drama. I hadn't even I'd heard the name Adventures in Odyssey, but I had never listened to an episode or anything. And so that was all brand new to me. But yeah, so that was really where we got started, was just kind of the desire to create something with purpose. And
Hmm.
that's even our slogan is entertainment with a purpose. And
Right.
we just wanted to put something out there where we could, uh, tell meaningful stories with a wholesome message and share the gospel of Jesus Christ out there. So that was pretty much where it got started.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's great. Slight tangent. What was
Hmm.
that like for you when you dove in? I'm assuming with both feet in this whole world. To say audio drama opened up, and you're like, wow.
Yeah. Uh, that was like kind of one of those like light bulbs, kind of an epiphany. Like, wow, there's
Yeah.
this whole circle of things, um, and even after we started producing, I really wasn't aware of it, of the breadth of it, and then as we kind of started meeting people, like we met JD Sutter, and he kind of introduced us to several other people. And so then that circle kind of grows a little bit, and then we made it out to Sonicon a year ago for the first one, and in Lynchburg, Virginia. And suddenly there's hundreds of people that do this, and all kinds of productions out there. And so it's just kind of grown from there, networking. So it literally was jumping in with both feet and
Huh.
kind of discovering, a whole new world, to use the cliche. But
Yeah.
it was very eye-opening for sure.
That's great. Well, I do have to stop and give a shout out to JD here,
Absolutely.
because he was the one. If it weren't for him, we wouldn't be talking, and Titanic would probably not have happened
Hmm.
either.
Oh, really?
He
Yeah.
was the one who connected me with Darby, and things started rolling from there. So, but he was where it started. Just reached out, and I'm trying to remember where I got connected with JD. And I know it was through Facebook, and the whole purpose was I was trying to add to my Facebook list of friends more people who shared beliefs like I did.
Right.
A lot, more Christian people, and he was. I think I was adding Adventures in Odyssey people because I knew of them, and then I added JD through them because he's connected in that way as
Mhm.
well. And I think that's how that happened. But yeah, it's just when I look back, the weird. I don't know if you say weird, but the path
Yeah.
is so interesting now that I look. But even just a few months ago, that's like it seems very purposeful now. I don't want to put too fine a point on it, but
No, it absolutely
um,
is. Yeah.
it's interesting to look back on. Now, your current series at Eternal Future Productions is Pirateers.
Hmm.
You talked a little bit about it. Can you talk about where the genesis of the idea, the specific idea for that came from, how it came about, and then maybe some future plans for the show?
That came about kind of through the whole pandemic. Actually, we had been tossing around some ideas on what we wanted to do. We both kind of liked the idea of telling a pirate story. And so we just started tossing around some ideas. Maybe they could be looking for a buried treasure. What would they be looking for, and how would they find it? And it kind of came up as a joke because everybody was hoarding toilet paper at the time. That's sort of what the treasure was of the day, which is very odd to think about. And so we actually included that in the show. He finds a chest and there's toilet paper, and he says, like, where on earth would that be considered a treasure? And that was sort of the genesis of it. Actually,
Nice.
it was just that first thing kind of helped write that whole scene, and it just sort of grew from there. But yeah, really, it was just we both kind of wanted to tell a pirate story, and it jumped in from toilet paper.
Yeah. Now you're on season 2.
We just finished season 2.
Just finished season 2.
Wrapped up season 2.
And season 3.
Season 3, we are just about to jump into the writing process of season 3. We've already, got plenty of notes and where we want to take it. We just haven't, put pen to paper yet. But we're going to start doing that, and then hopefully begin recording and production on that early next year, which is just a couple months away already.
Can you believe that? That's nuts.
No, I cannot believe that.
No, that is great.
Yeah, season 3 is definitely in the works.
Good. Can't wait to hear that. So yeah. Speaking of the show, where can people listen, and how can we support the show?
Right now we have a website, eternalfutureproductions.com. And then we are on almost all the major podcasting platforms is how we release our episodes, and also YouTube. How you can support the show is just, please listen and spread the word. We haven't jumped into like monetizing anything yet or selling episodes yet. We're still kind of weighing that, because we're not limiting ourselves to Pirateers. That's not the only thing we want to produce.
Sure.
We have another standalone like Christmas production, and we have other projects and ideas that we want to get out and in the works. So we're still kind of trying to figure out how to. We do want to raise money because we want to pay the people that help us out with this thing, voice actors and writers and all those things. So we accept donations if you want to, but we're still in the works of trying to figure out how to make money doing this. So
sure, absolutely. Okay, yeah. Well, everybody, please go check out Eternal Future Productions and their current show, Pirateers. It's an amazing show. I've listened. It's great. They do an amazing job. Jonathan Cooke, thanks so much for joining us. I really appreciate your time.
Oh, no problem. I love this. This is great.
Absolutely. Let us know if we can help anyway in the future.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.